the identities of the passengers in the vehicle whose cliff fall dragged Miss Vance to her death.
A team of university students conducts an experiment in their campus laboratory to validate the existence of the multiverse. Despite numerous unsuccessful trials, they employ their latest device iteration on a bowl housing a goldfish, revealing a recurring pattern of particles in the water. Although this revelation falls short of establishing contact, they deduce that a larger volume of water is necessary and opt to head to the nearby lake. En route, they monitor their computer screens attentively, becoming elated upon detecting flares. Jerry, seized by excitement, accelerates, leading to a near collision as they navigate a curve, narrowly avoiding another vehicle. Jerry skillfully maneuvers his car aside, halting it beside a hill, but the other vehicle isn't as fortunate, teetering on the cliff's edge. The stranded occupants inside are visibly distressed, their wheels spinning futilely. While the rest of the group summons assistance, Loretta ventures to check on them. As the situation intensifies, a hand extends towards her, prompting her to grasp it just before the car plunges off the cliff, resulting in the tragic demise of everyone within, including Loretta. 5 months later, the team embarks on testing a novel device designed to gauge emotional responses to various images. Jerry advocates for capturing the entire emotional spectrum, yet the inclusion of photographs featuring Loretta and a car triggers a profound negative reaction in Danny. He reacts with anger, abruptly removing the headset and storming out. However, Jerry notices on the screen Danny's response to Amy's touch, hinting at a deeper connection between them, which Amy confirms they've been seeing each other clandestinely. Later in the library, Danny is gripped by an illusion of seeing Loretta among the bookshelves. He hastily pursues her, only to realize he's been chasing the wrong woman when he spots Loretta exiting through the main door. Despite his efforts to catch up, Loretta vanishes from sight. That evening, the friends convene at a bar where Jerry openly expresses his dissatisfaction, longing for the thrill of their previous experiments that pushed boundaries. Danny somberly reminds him of the tragic event that led to their cessation. Jerry's attention is then diverted by a woman bearing a striking resemblance to Loretta, prompting Danny to give chase, yet once again, she eludes him. Subsequently, Danny visits Amy's residence, apologizing for his preoccupation with Loretta. Amy, reflecting on their relationship, questions if Danny's feelings for her would change if she weren't deaf-mute. That night, Amy experiences harrowing nightmares of someone drowning. The following day at the laboratory, Jerry is astonished to discover a second fish in the bowl. His shock is compounded when he receives a call from Loretta's number. Enraged, Jerry dismisses it as a tasteless prank and terminates the call. After class, Amy and Danny share a tender moment, abruptly interrupted by the unexpected appearance of Loretta, who confronts Amy, shocked to discover her boyfriend's infidelity. Danny and Amy are incredulous at the sight of Loretta and hastily bring her to the lab, where they, along with Jerry, elucidate that she has been deceased for the past 5 months. Jerry posits the possibility of Loretta suffering from amnesia and wandering around unaware of her condition. However, Loretta insists that she has been interacting with them regularly and adamantly denies having died or experienced any harm. Strangely, she no longer comprehends sign language and insists that Amy has always communicated verbally with her. Upon noticing the second fish in the bowl, Loretta becomes animated, believing it to be evidence of an alternate dimension. She conjectures that in her universe, Loretta is deceased and she hails from a parallel reality where minor discrepancies exist, such as Amy's ability to speak and hear. In her reality, they continue their experiment uninterrupted and she was inadvertently transported along with the fish. To support her claim, Loretta reveals a matching tattoo shared by all 4 of them, recently acquired in her universe. Later, Danny drops Amy off at her home, apologizing for their separation that night and explaining his commitment to Loretta. The remainder of the journey is tense and Danny, reluctant to address Loretta's inquiries about Amy, opts to ignore them. Subsequently, back at their respective residences, Jerry, Amy, and Danny are overwhelmed by excruciating agony. They writhe in agony as countless voices resonate in their minds until, after a bout of agonizing screams, the torment abruptly ceases. The following day, Amy is dismayed to learn that Danny accommodated Loretta overnight. Uncertain of how to navigate the situation, they convene at the lab where a distressed Jerry informs them of a break-in characterized by a chaotic scene and the discovery of a deceased fish in the bowl. When Loretta joins them, bearing coffee, she discerns that the deceased fish is the one from the alternate reality, sparking concern about the implications for her own existence. Later, upon Jerry's return home, he discovers the door ajar and the alarm disarmed. Surveying the scene, he notices abandoned food and beer, prompting him to investigate further. Upon hearing a noise, Jerry ascends the stairs to find his bedroom ransacked. Upon realizing that money is missing, he hears another noise and rushes to the front door, only to find the intruder vanished, leaving behind his science trophy. Meanwhile, Loretta opts to spend the night at a motel. Attempting to call her parents, she remains silent, only to be met with their accusations of a sick prank before they abruptly hang up. The following day, Loretta visits Amy and attempts to communicate using a few sign language gestures. She proposes a pact, suggesting they maintain a platonic relationship with Danny until they unravel the situation. Amy agrees, and their bond is swiftly rekindled. In the afternoon, Jerry takes Danny to the janitor's clandestine room for a drink. While discussing Loretta, Danny inadvertently drops the flask, prompting Jerry to inquire about potential muscle weakness, drawing parallels to the dead fish. Perplexed, Danny is taken aback when Jerry reveals an identical tattoo to Loretta's on his arm, meaning he's an alternate Jerry from her universe. To make matters worse, Danny starts to feel sick because Jerry puts something in his drink. Jerry begins explaining Loretta opened a door to this world, and now they're all stuck here because there's no machine to send them back. Jerry wants to keep the Danny from his own world, so he walks behind this Danny and keeps him from breathing until he dies. Meanwhile, the Jerry and the Amy of this world notice their hands are shaking rather ominously. At a bar, Loretta is chatting with a real Jerry when they're suddenly interrupted by alternate Danny, who greets Loretta with a kiss. She feels very uncomfortable by this and leaves. So Jerry calls Danny out for behaving weirdly and mentions Amy, causing Danny to get offended by these weird accusations. And he leaves as well. When he gets to his car, Danny finds alternate Jerry, who explains to him what's going on because Danny hadn't realized he's crossed over until now. As Danny freaks out, Jerry shows him his hand is shaking and asks him to kill the local Jerry for him. Danny freaks out again and tells him to do it himself, but Jerry says he tried and wasn't able to. It turns out it was him who broke into Jerry's house and grabbed the trophy as a weapon. But when he saw his own face, he ran away. However, Danny still refuses to do any killing, and Jerry becomes furious, yelling at him, which makes Danny realize that Jerry is off his medication. Later in the afternoon, alternate Jerry sneaks into the house again and steals a gun. At the motel, Loretta watches the news coverage of her death.
It's Loretta. Nobody is smart. There will never be another Loretta because there can't be.
Meanwhile, Amy visits Danny and attempts to kiss him, but he immediately pushes her away. Amy senses something is amiss and realizes this isn't her Danny, prompting her to flee. As she starts her scooter, she notices her hands shaking. Upon returning home, Amy's behavior towards her mother, who is also deaf-mute, becomes abruptly hostile. Her mother senses that something is wrong, but Amy ignores her concerns and rushes upstairs, where she discovers clues indicating she's in an alternate reality, including a deaf school diploma and a newspaper clipping about Loretta's death. Amy curses aloud, finally realizing the situation. Panicked, she calls Jerry to discuss what's happening, causing Jerry to also panic when he hears her speak. Recognizing that this isn't his Amy, Jerry is left bewildered when she abruptly hangs up. Subsequently, Jerry receives a text from his Amy asking him to meet at the library. They exchange information and realize that all four friends have crossed into this world. Recalling the fate of the fish, they begin to fear for their lives. Meanwhile, alternate Jerry takes Loretta for a drive. Eventually, he stops the car in the middle of the road to show her the tattoo and prove his identity. Loretta, shaken but convinced, agrees to collaborate with him. However, she notices his trembling fingers, reminding him of the grim task he believes he must carry out. Meanwhile, the real Jerry confronts Danny, demanding to know the whereabouts of his genuine friend. Danny rebuffs him and reveals that the other Jerry killed him, highlighting that in his reality, Jerry always exhibited signs of instability. Meanwhile, Amy rushes back to her house and finds her mother asleep. She receives a text from Jerry warning her about his alternate self's homicidal tendencies. As she ascends the stairs, she notices increasing pain, reaching its peak near her room. There, she encounters her alternate self waiting on the bed, which startles her. Alternate Amy explains the circumstances of their deafness and her strained relationship with her mother. She expresses her determination not to disrupt the bond between her other self and their mother, then departs. When the real Amy returns downstairs, her mother is confused, believing she had just seen her daughter upstairs. Afterward, Amy follows her alternate self and finds her walking into the ocean, where it all began. Recalling her dream, Amy tries to intervene, but alternate Amy believes the ocean can return her to her own world and urges Amy to care for their mother before plunging in. Slowly, the water engulfs her until she vanishes, leaving Amy distraught. However, she notices that her body is no longer shaking, bringing her some semblance of relief amidst her anguish. Meanwhile, Loretta visits Danny to warn him about Jerry, only to stumble upon the tattoo and uncover the truth. They quickly text Amy to arrange a meeting. Meanwhile, Jerry returns home and encounters his alternate self, who brandishes the gun. Real Jerry retaliates, forcefully grappling with his counterpart. Just as the others arrive and witness one Jerry choking the other, Loretta seizes the gun, pleading for them to cease hostilities, but she hesitates on whom to shoot. Danny intervenes, identifying the real Jerry by checking his arm, enabling Loretta to incapacitate the imposter with a blow from the gun. With the genuine Jerry momentarily regaining his composure, he launches a ferocious assault on his alternate self, ultimately bludgeoning him to death with a trophy. Subsequently, the group journeys to a bog to dispose of the body. On their return trip, they narrowly avoid a collision with an oncoming car, swerving off the road and teetering on the edge of a cliff. In a shocking revelation, they realize they are the cause of the accident that initiated their ordeal. The original Loretta arrives at the scene only to be confronted by her alternate self. As the altercation escalates, the car plummets off the cliff, claiming the lives of both groups and both versions of Loretta. Suddenly, the day resets, and the four friends find themselves back at the university, preparing to attempt the experiment once more. Make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you can watch more videos like this. Thanks for watching.